you guys. I think it's time for us to get started today. My name's Betty Lauer, and I'm a professor in the Computer Systems Engineering Technology program. And I think I know about half of you here, and the other half, or at least I've met and maybe had in a class about half of you, and the other half I don't know. But sometimes I don't know you by face, even though I've had you in an online class. So welcome. I'm here today to talk a little bit about STEM careers, but specifically computer-related STEM careers. So come on in.
Sorry, we're out of space, but if you want to, wherever you're most comfortable.
So you know, the STEM Starter Academy is a program that is funding this lecture series, and it's through the Department of Higher Ed of Massachusetts. And you know, it's all about building awareness of STEM careers. And so let's talk a little bit about what STEM careers are. STEM's an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And these careers are really important in the United States today because historically they have been the foundation of our economic growth in the United States, you know, really through invention. For years and years, we're the ones that are inventing things and leading the world in invention. But today there's not enough students in the U.S. that are pursuing STEM careers to keep up with the demand in the U.S. So a lot of these STEM careers, a lot of these jobs are going overseas, or we're bringing people from other countries here to fill this demand. Examples of some STEM career fields: chemistry, computer-related jobs, engineering, environmental sciences, life sciences, mathematics, physics. You know, sometimes people throw healthcare in that mix, and it certainly has a STEM foundation. I didn't do that for the purpose of this presentation, and a lot of people don't, and I'll kind of show you why. So let's talk about the current employment facts in the U.S. You know, our overall workforce is 134 million today in the workforce. So how many people are there in the United States? What's our population in the United States? Yeah, about 314 million is what our population is today. And we have 134,000 jobs. That's full-time, part-time, whatever. We currently have the lowest percentage of adults working since the 1970s. So if you look at that 314 million people, you know, we have the lowest percentage, not necessarily the lowest number of people working, but the lowest percentage. I don't remember what that is. Does anybody remember what that is? I think that it's 60-some% of adults work. The average pay in the United States for adults over 18 years of age is $24,000. If you're 25 or over, it's $32,000. So, does anyone know what the average income is in Worcester, the city of Worcester? Yes. Yeah, I think it's a little under 27,000. It fluctuates a little bit. So, you know, that might give you an idea, United States wide. Obviously, East Coast and West Coast pays more. You know, those are where, in the cities, it costs a little more to live. They have to pay more for pay. Growth expected over the next decade is 9.8%. So of all the jobs out there, we think the employment sector is going to grow 9.8%. And I see a few women in the audience, not a lot. And I'm a woman, and this is something I'm very aware of. Men earn 27% more per hour than women on average. What do you think about that?
That's not fair.
Well, you know, in lots of cases, I think that's not fair. I think there's lots of reasons for that. Some are valid, some are not valid, but something that you need to know about. So, if we look at specifically STEM careers in the United States, you'll see that 26 million STEM workers are in the United States, and the average pay for that is $61,000. So almost twice the average pay of all jobs across the United States. It's about double if you're in a STEM field. About half of those jobs require a bachelor's degree or higher. About half of them require more than high school but less than a bachelor's. Okay? In STEM career fields, men earn 16% more per hour than women. You know, I'm not sure if that's what drew me to a STEM career, but it can't hurt, right, ladies? You still have to pay for your kids to go to school. You still have to pay for them to eat. You still have to pay your rent. So the more equal your pay is, the better, I think. You know, I'm here to tell you about computing careers, which I love. You know, I think they're very exciting, but they're very practical. Of those 26 million jobs out there that are STEM-related jobs, 71% are computer or in the computer field. That's a huge percentage, isn't it? Okay. So, you know, if you look at some of the other STEM percentages, you see physical sciences is about 7%. Traditional engineering, which typically requires a 4-year degree, is 16%, math is 2%, life sciences 4%. If you pull out that computing percentage, you find some really interesting facts. Software engineering is 27% of that 71%, and software engineering would be kind of a broad field that probably includes the kind of entry-level programmers, the more advanced system designers, analysts, maybe the architecture and data management would probably be under software engineering. Another one that's somewhat related is the database administration and the system analysis. Those are kind of all related careers. Some that are related to some of your program areas, because I know that many of you are in the CSET program. Computer networking, 21%. So how many of you are hoping to become computer networkers? Yeah, many of you. And there's a lot of good reason to do that. One is that, you know, there are many jobs out there. And over the last 6 months, they came out with a study that said, if you're pursuing and you're going to only get a 2-year degree and then go out and get a job, the highest paying job that you can get is a network administrator. And on average, a computer network administrator earns $75,500 a year on average. The upper 10% of network administrators make $125,500 a year. So, you know, that requires a 2-year degree, and it's a good amount of money. It is a livable wage, where I'm not sure that, you know, the $32,000 that is the average wage in the United States, I couldn't possibly live on that these days, especially in Massachusetts. So, you know, computer networking, I think, is a wonderful field. A couple other related ones are computer support, and computer research type of things. Other computing probably would capture some of that, like system administration and that type of stuff. So we see that there are lots of jobs out there in these fields. So, you know, why choose a computer career? Well, let me ask the room. How many of you have already decided that you're going to have a computer-related career? How many of you have not yet decided? Oh, wow. Wow, there's a couple of you, but most of you have decided. Now, I want to point out the jobs are plentiful, and they range at lots of different levels, and we're going to take a look at. But I want to point you to a resource that you should know about as a employed individual in the United States or someone who's going to be employed shortly, this is a resource that you should know about. It is the federal government's Bureau of Labor Statistics under the Department of Labor Occupational Outlook Handbook. So I just want to show you that for a minute. Let's see, not that, not that. Right here. So if you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and you do a little search for Occupational Outlook Handbook, it allows you to search for some occupations that you might want to know. Like let's just go to C, and let's look at highest paying maybe. See if anything computer related is in it. I thought that it would, second to the last one. Oh, yep. So this is Computer and Information Systems Managers. And so we could click on it. We could know what the median pay is. And in this particular category, it's the 2012 median pay is $120,950. Entry-level education. This one says that it requires a bachelor's degree. And computer and information systems is more of the category where you're managing data versus network administration. So let's look a little closer at what other examples like network administration. Let's look for that. Okay, this one still shows that you need a bachelor's degree, but that is not really accurate. I'm not sure why the Department of Labor sticks that out there, but really, if you go back to what we call middle skills jobs, in that whole IT category, again, about half of them require more than high school, but less than a bachelor's, which would be kind of a 2-year degree type or a certificate, and the other ones require bachelor's degrees or beyond. You can, though, do a lot of searching through this document. It gives you lots of really good information, like what they do, what their work environment is like, how you would become whatever career you're looking up. Like this one, network administrator, says that it requires some type of a post-secondary certificate. Not all of them require bachelor's degrees, but some of them do. The median annual wage is this, and that was in May of 2012. The job outlook is that it's expected to grow 12% over the next 10 years, and at that time it was 2012 to 2022. Growth will be at the highest, at firms that provide cloud computing technology. So that tells you, if you're familiar with cloud computing, that might be something that you want to be of interest.
Just to clarify that a little bit. Now remember, that is a nationwide site.
Yep.
So does average price range is probably accurate for the entire country because you're looking all over the country?
Yep.
If you go to Mass CIS, which is an off-link
Yep.
for Massachusetts, it may give you a little better deal.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, these are the average of the United States, and on the West Coast and East Coast, higher salaries are demanded because of the cost of living around here. So I do know that, this is a little low for probably what we see in Massachusetts. But you see some similar occupations. It's a really nice resource. So jot that down and pay attention to it. When you have a assignment here at QCC that involves you looking at pay and occupations, take a look at this. After you go out and you get your job and you have some experience and you're thinking about switching jobs, take a look at this and know what the industry is like these days. Okay. So the jobs are plentiful. We can prove that by lots of different sources, including the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're high salaries with benefits. You know, they're usually, well, many are hourly and many are salaried, and they're full-time typically, or often, most likely, and which means that they come with benefits, you know, health benefits and maybe education benefits and that type of thing. And so, you know, my point that I want to really press, because computer careers, I think, are a little harder than your average career here at QCC, but they are very interesting and creative positions. You know, in the employment sector, in computer-related employment sector, there are fewer women by far than men nationwide. There are fewer women, and you can, this room reflects it, fewer women going into computer-related fields and fewer women out there in computer-related fields than men. Yet, you know, they're very interesting and creative. You know, think about what you get to do if you are a designer at Facebook. If your job is to design the interface that all the Facebook users are going to see and use. I mean, what a creative position. It really lets you use like both sides of your brain, your technical skills, your creative skills. So what can be more exciting than that? You know, I enjoy all aspects of networking. People will say, well, how is networking creative? Well, you know, in the CSET lab, I get to define the enterprise architecture that we use in that lab. So it is very creative and interesting. So some examples of computer careers that you may have heard of are things like help desk technician, hardware technician, systems administrator. You know, it might be Windows systems administrator or Unix, or, you know, even another operating system administrator. Network administrator or network architect, computer programmer, software developer. How is a software developer a little different than a computer programmer typically? Does anybody know that? You know, we don't teach very much programming in the CSET program, but in the CIS program we do. And you know, basically the difference is the level of the position. A computer programmer probably takes direction from a more advanced person in the company on exactly the design and maybe the coding of the program, where a software developer is more responsible for the big picture design of a product. Systems analysis or analyst, they would be responsible for like gathering requirements for a piece of software and deciding what is going to go into it as far as functionality goes. Maybe a systems architect is the next layer, or maybe even, you know, the highest layer. And then web designer. You guys have all heard of all of those jobs, haven't you? Yeah. And they're all in that 71% of STEM jobs. You know, but those come with a variety of levels within an organization. You know, when you go out and you get a job in the computer field, and you get a job in business and they have a computer department, and you show up for work every day, typically that computer department is organized usually in kind of two main components. One is the software side of the house, which does the software development, who does the custom software for that company, who codes it, who designs it, who implements it, versus the technology side of the house, IT versus IS, the technology side of the house, who's really responsible for putting together the computer and networking infrastructure that a company works with every day or works on every day, right? And so, you know, under the IS side of the house, you will see careers software developers, programmers, web designers. On the IT side of the house, you will see help desk, you will see telecommunications specialists, you will see network administrators, you will see workstation specialists, systems administrators, maybe database administrators as well. So you see all typically computer careers in one area of the company, and even though they may be very different positions. So within the computer department of a company, you'll see lots of different levels of expertise. And probably the lowest one is kind of the technician level. That would be kind of like you'd come to work every day and you'd have a boss that kind of on a daily basis says, do these 5 things. And they're typically very short-term, task-oriented, kind of lower level. If we're talking about network administration, that category of work inside a company, we're probably talking about the people who connect the workstations to the network and configure the NIC cards and make sure the connectivity is there. Versus more of a professional level, which is kind of the next level up, and where you would certainly be with a 2-year degree, where your job responsibilities probably fall into a couple of areas, where you do some planning and kind of design of projects, management of projects, and you also probably oversee the technicians and probably respond to problems as they occur. Maybe not at the first level of call, but at the second level of a call, you would probably get involved. Versus an engineer that has a little broader, bigger design view and kind of understands the computer department within the whole company and how the company uses computers to leverage their business and make them the best at whatever they do through IT, is what companies do today. That's more of what an engineer would do. An engineer, the classic definition of an engineer is, using science and technology or implementing it to solve and remedy needs, right? And the expert or architect is even a little bit beyond that. And I would say that in most cases, most of the experts and architects in the computer department have a lot of experience and maybe a 4-year degree or beyond. Okay, where the lower level ones, certainly a certificate or 2-year degree is appropriate. It's one of the things that I love about the computer industry today is that your skill matters a lot. It's the number one thing that you want to put on your resume is your skill. Your degree, especially for your first job, is going to be important, but your skills over time is going to really guide how much money you make. So where are the computer jobs today? Well, computer jobs are everywhere because everyone uses computer technology, either our traditional desktops or our cell phones, our big mainframe computers. Businesses use IT everywhere. I mean, if you think about how your life has changed over the last 10 years, I think you all can remember that, and how much more sophistication we have in our home computing, right? You guys see that. That's something you see. Well, business has, quadrupled what we've done at home in the fact you don't necessarily see it, but think about all of the businesses that you interact with electronically that 10 or 15 years ago you would have to interact with in person or on the phone or something like that, right? So, you guys, you could go out and get a job in business, and there's a lot of small business out there, and that's a great place to get a job. you know, small business does make up a large percentage of the employment sector here in the United States. But there's also big corporate business, you know, the Fortune 500 companies that really lead industry, you know, and they're in every industry. If you're interested in healthcare, but, you know, you ended up getting a degree in IT, maybe you always wanted to be a doctor and or a nurse, and you started down that track and realized that maybe that wasn't for you, but now you're in the IT field, you could really merge your knowledge and love of those two topics together and work in the healthcare industry. You could really specialize your knowledge in that area. You could move from one healthcare company to the next and learn even more. But all businesses in every industry uses technology, right? So you can mesh those together. How many of you have some passion that you grew up with, that you developed, and for whatever reason it doesn't pay the bills? And here you are in college and you're like, IT is going to pay the bills. How many of you have that? You know, maybe you. So Glenn, what's yours?
Well, I actually kind of thinking about starting my own boxing gym at some point.
Oh, that's interesting. And so, you know, you can take all your IT knowledge, put it together with your boxing company, and have a really nice business that. And like Anthony sitting right behind you, I know what his passion is. His passion is racing and race cars. And so I actually have a friend who designs the electronics and the computer functionality of the Ford vehicle lines. And so, you know, he loves race cars, and one of the early things that he did was he designed software that would manage fuel injection. And so he took both of those passions, put them together, and loves his job. So, you know, some of you or some people who might not think that IT is exciting, sure, IT is exciting. It's very creative and exciting. What other thoughts do you guys have? What other passions did you grow up with? Think about that. Think about that and see if there's a way that you can even make your IT knowledge even more valuable. So another place, though, that you can get a job is certainly in the computer industry itself. When I talk about industries, what am I talking about? Somebody give me a little... Right, different companies or areas of companies that provide different types of services and products. You know, like the financial industry versus the computer industry. Well, the computer industry is huge. You could get a job in computer and device manufacturing if you wanted, and it depends on what level of position you're seeking, what type of degree you would need with that. But maybe you would go work for Dell. Maybe you would answer phones at Dell at their help desk and help people repair their computer problems, you know, that have bought Dell computers. Maybe you would be a salesperson, right? And you would go out and you would show businesses all the functionality of the Dell product lines, and, you know, help companies decide what they need. Maybe you would work in the manufacturing area and actually build those Dell computers, right? There's lots of different options. And of course, in the computer industry, there's all that software development going on. What kind of software development is out there these days?
Gaming.
Oh, gaming. Gaming is a good example. You know, how many of you buy games? Yeah? Yeah, some of you were reluctant to raise your hand, but most homes these days have computer consoles or gaming consoles that are connected to their network. Lots of software development, things like gaming, mobile apps, business applications. somebody has to work for Microsoft and update and provide new functionality in the Office suite. Someone has to work for Microsoft to develop new operating systems and be visionary about, you know, what they're going to add to those operating systems in the future. So that's an area. You know, most of us will probably get jobs in business. I actually find that a little more interesting because I really like to see how different industries use technology to leverage their business and to make them the best and to, you know, try to grab the majority of the market share in their industry. Then, you know, we also have a category of IT services, you know, companies that just provide IT services. You know, maybe it's in all of these areas. Maybe you would go in and set up a company's network and help them, you know, configure it. Maybe you would go in and help a company write a custom application. Maybe they don't have a big development staff. You could do that. Maybe you answer calls when people have problems, like in a help desk environment. There are all types of IT services out there today. So, some somewhat new and exciting careers that you'll see in the computing world includes the Internet of Things. How many of you have heard of the Internet of Things? Oh, only one or two of you. Well, the Internet of Things started evolving over this last couple of years, and it's the idea that everything is going to be connected to the Internet. Do you think that's true? Yeah, I think it's true. Over the Christmas break, I installed some new lighting in some of my rooms at home, and I installed the lighting that I could use my iPad tablet to change the color of the lighting. You know, I think that at home is a place that, you know, we're going to see this. How many of you have heard, it's kind of related to the Internet of Things, the idea that we'll have home appliances like ovens that will be connected to the Internet, that from in the morning when we leave, we can stick our casserole in the oven, and then at 2, when I'm thinking about you know, going home at the end of the day at 5, I might, on the internet, start my oven up so my casserole starts heating. Yeah, you guys, there security systems, right? All sorts of home technology. But as much as that's happening at home, it's happening in business too. You'll find that every industry has what I would call enabling technology. You know, if we were talking about the financial sector, what would our enabling technology be there? Cell phone certainly is something that we might use to look up our account balance. I'm sorry, tablet? Tablets? Yeah, we might use tablets. Yes. Yeah. But it's even more fundamental than that. How many of us use those cards that we stick in an ATM and we get money out, or we go to a store and we swipe and they swipe our credit card, right? That's enabling technology. I wish that I had invented that Visa card verification system that goes out and checks everybody's balance to see if they actually have credit on their credit card before, you know, the store lets you leave. I'm sorry? Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of enabling technology. Think about transportation. That's something we don't think about a lot. Logistics and transportation. Have any of you been fortunate or unfortunate enough to work at like a UPS or a FedEx? Oh, someone's shaking their head. you know what enabling technology that you wear there, right? Like you wear maybe a scanner on your wrist that every time a package goes by that you handle a packet, you scan it with a device and it goes, the barcode gets stored in the database. So yeah, everything's going to be connected to the internet. We're just going to see more and more of that, whether it's at home, whether it's in a business environment. Security. You guys, you cannot have a computer-related job these days without understanding various aspects of security, right? If we just look at what's happened over the last few years with security, our personal financial data, for example, our government security as far as attacks from other countries, attacks maybe on our electric grid and things like that. Security is big. Regardless of if you're on the IS side of the house or the IT side of the house, you have to understand security. Another kind of big and exciting area is mobile applications development, right? How many of you have a smartphone? Yep, about half of you. For all of you that have a smartphone, how many apps do you have downloaded on your smartphone? And what's your limitation there? I'm sorry? Is it hundreds?
I have 99.
You have 99?
I try not to go over like 4 gigs.
Memory is the limitation.
Yeah, memory is the limitation. And typically what happens, we load them on until we don't have any more space, and then we start removing what we think are the less valuable ones to us. But there is a whole market out there. I know lots of people who make all of their money just off of developing apps, having them approved by Apple and Microsoft, and sticking them out there in the store and selling them for 99 cents a piece. Right? So that's the big, interesting, kind of an entrepreneurial type market out there right now. Then there's healthcare information management. You know, a big federal government charge was to automate healthcare records so that if you go to Dr. Smith this week but have to go to Dr. Jones next week, that they can see your records between them. And so that is a huge initiative. Video game development. And then big data. What are you guys thinking about big data? Yes?
I think big data in the next 5 years is going to be probably at the point where we need to advance our technology to be able to handle it. It's going to get pretty big, especially with the Internet of Things and a lot of data between Google and Facebook and how they're trying to get more sensitive data on the Internet.
So who can give me a little definition of big data, and where does that data collection happen? What's big data?
Because it's a large amount of data in a business, and it's mostly archival because you legally have to have an archive. I think it's like 7 years.
Depends on what data, yeah.
But most
What type of
companies
data?
go beyond that.
Yep.
And so it amasses so much data, and it increases every day.
Yep.
So it's
And-
more space.
And then they sell it to other people, right? They sell it to other people. And so other people then have your data. And when you jump on the internet and you search for that new baseball bat or glove that you were wanting to buy, suddenly that search is included in that big data. And so, somebody has to manage that big data. Somebody has to store it and retrieve it and present it in some usable format so that all those marketers can call you on the phone or send you emails and say, I noticed that you were looking for a bat and glove. May I suggest this brand? That's what's happening with big data, right? So you're going to see these areas grow. But people sometimes ask, what skills do I really need to have a computer-related career. And, you know, they fall in two areas, the soft skills and the technical skills. You have to have both. I go to lots of conferences, and industry tells me they have to have soft skills along with technical skills. And so soft skills would include positive attitude, self-motivation, being able to work in a team. That's why lots of teachers here at QCC make you do work in a team, is that they realize that that's what the business world is really like. Good communication, that means listening, speaking, written communication, all of those things. And being able to multitask, juggle lots of different projects and tasks, and keep track of them and successfully complete them. And then your technical skills, that's current for your particular knowledge area. And by current, you went to college 5 years ago, and lots of things have happened in those 5 years, and you need to keep learning about them and staying on top of things. So, how does all of that relate to the programs that we offer here at QCC? And really, we offer 4 computer-related careers at QCC. One of them is the Applied Arts program. One is the Computer Information Systems, you know, that IS side of the house. A Computer Science degree, and Computer Systems Engineering Technology, which I think that about half of you are in that program area. So the Applied Arts is kind of a unique program in the fact that it is all about designing new media for graphic communication. So, you know, it has a lot of fine arts involved if you're an artsy person, but you want to take advantage of having a computer-related career, this is the program for you. You know, you learn all sorts of things about fine arts that enable you to present information in an appealing way to people. You guys, you all know, you go to those websites, and some of them look better than others, right? You know, there's a lot of research that shows the better looking website, the more likely you are to stay longer. Okay, so, you know, that's what the Applied Arts is about. If you went and got a degree in the Applied Arts program, you probably are going on to a 4-year degree, and we have lots of articulations with other 4-year universities that would take you down this route. And then you would graduate, get a job in a computer department in a business that had a website, and your job would be defining what those web pages look like. Not programming them, but designing what they're going to look like and how people will interact with them. Versus the Computer Information Systems, which again is on that IS side of the house in any organization, and it's all about applications, developing custom applications. You know, none of us are going to develop word processing applications. Why? Because Microsoft's already done that, and they've done that to such a degree that we could never duplicate that or make it better. And so, you know, we're instead designing custom applications for our specific business need. You know, so if we're UPS, we're writing applications that keep track of packages as they move along. CIS has a couple of additional program options. One of them is a database option, a health information management option, and a transfer option that goes on to 4-year schools. Computer science at QCC, we have a 2-year degree that is focused on kind of generic computer-related skills, but that really prepare you for a 4-year degree someplace else. You know, people who get computer science degrees often end up doing things like really designing software like operating systems. They're really talking about some low-level programming versus application programming. Maybe some low-level designs. They might be designing network communications protocols, for example. And then, the Computer Systems Engineering Technology program at QCC, which really has a wide variety of programming in it. We currently have a couple of 2-year degrees and 9 certificates that are 1 or 2 semester certificates. And, they involve, the first one is kind of a broad, generic 2-year degree that gives you a solid foundation in all areas of IT. And that means the technology side of the house. You learn operating systems, you learn networking, LAN networking, a little WAN networking. You learn computer hardware. You learn security. You learn storage management, storage technology and management, those types of things. In addition, we get you to learn about project management, those types of skills as well. We have a second degree program that is a digital forensics option that really focuses on forensics of digital equipment, like a law enforcement agency would use, or maybe a company that needs to research some illegal activity within their company. You'll learn things about seizing, the legality of seizing equipment. If you're a company, what you have to do, in response to a suspected crime on your premises and those types of things. So, something that I just want to just quickly go through. If you look at, before I show you this, I want to show you one thing, because I don't know how many of you know this. If you go to www.qcc.mass.edu, let me just show you this real quick. If you just were to go to, you guys see this page all the time. If you go to academics, on this main program academics page, there is the current course catalog. Okay, and I've actually already opened it for you because I wanted you to see what it looked like. In our course catalog, we outline every program that we offer here at QCC. We explain what the program goals are. We note the student learning outcomes. What, when you graduate from this program area, should you know? We outline the admissions process and the requirements and where that program's located and so forth. So, I'm looking at the Applied Arts one. And then if you go down to the next page, it will show you a grid of that program. So you see the individual courses that you have to take to complete that program. If you go all the way to the end of this book, and I think that there's 399 pages in this book. If you go to the end, you'll see for every course a little course description of what you would learn in that course. So if you scroll on down, they're in alphabetical order. You can scroll down to see the next one, which is that we've been talking about, which is the Computer Information Systems. You can see their curriculum, their different options in that program. And if you keep scrolling on down, you'll see the Computer Science one, you'll see the Computer Systems Engineering Technology one, and our student learning outcomes. Okay. So this is what I'm trying to show you here. In the CSET program, which is the program that I'm the coordinator for, we really try to give you a well-rounded background so that you're able to go out and do lots of different things. You know, some of you might say, well, you know, I've been exposed to all of this and I really like this, and, you know, I'm going to pursue a career in security, or I'm going to pursue a career in cloud computing or something like that. And others of you might just be looking for your first job and willing to take whatever job is out there. And my experience tells me that the more you know about all of the different areas of IT and how they work together, the better off you are, the more marketable you are, and the more options you have. So some of our student learning outcomes include understanding, you know, common business methods, application of IT to support business functions, telecommunications in a modern business environment. Telecommunications is huge in a modern business environment, right? I mean, we do a lot of cell phone stuff. We do a lot of wireless computing today. Everybody communicates with everybody these days, right? And so that's a very big career area. And that includes voice over IP, certainly, maintenance of computer hardware, operating systems, basic programming structures and algorithms, designing, implementing, and maintaining LANs and WANs to support modern implementations, basic and advanced routing with modern protocols, security, network services, data storage solutions, third-party application management. You know, we're going to buy a lot of third-party applications, and people have to manage those, install them, configure them, manage them. Management of IT infrastructures and projects, documentation, and troubleshooting. We also require a co-op experience that, you know, Joe, who has talked a little bit, Joe's standing back there in the back corner, and some of you have already met him. He is here to help you with that process, finding a position and getting enrolled and learning some IT-related things so that when you graduate, you can go out to business and you can already have some experience to put on your resume. So, you might say, how do I know which program to enroll in? Well, we do offer those 4 programs, and they really support a different computer-related career field. Each one of them has specific different job skills that they really are teaching you. One of them is probably going to be best for you based on your characteristics. If you like to get up, move around a lot, talk to people, do lots of different things, juggle different things, you know, the CSET program's a great one. If you like to come to work every day, know what you're going to work on, maybe CIS is a good one where you know, go sit at your desk, program. If you're creative, maybe the applied arts one. So, you know, if you're still not sure, maybe you could test out a course or 2 in each program area. It can't hurt. The more you know about technology when you're going out to get a job, the better off you're going to be. But then sometimes people say, do I need a 2-year degree, or do I need a certificate, a 2-year degree, or a 4-year degree? And I want to point out that half the computer jobs do not require a bachelor's degree. And for those of you who are on CSET, you know, you're really pretty lucky because, again, you know, there was that study that says the highest paying job that you can get with just a 2-year degree is a network administrator. And that certainly falls under the Computer Systems Engineering Technology program. And so in that case, you certainly only need a 2-year degree. The benefits of you going on to a 4-year degree would be to get some maybe new and different or more advanced knowledge. one of the degrees that I really like to send CSET students on after they complete their 2-year degree to is at UMass Lowell. They have an IT degree with a business minor. And so it teaches you, gives you an introduction to business and, you know, just makes you more valuable within an organization. Technician positions simply require a certificate, maybe 1 or 2 semesters. An administrator, an analyst, an engineer requires a 2-year degree. Advanced computer design and systems programming requires a 4-year degree, a PhD as well, or could be a PhD. Teaching at the college level requires a master's. So you guys, you really need to look at what your career goals are and say, is this enough for is this the right amount of education for my career goals? You know, why would you pay for a bachelor's degree if you didn't really need a bachelor's degree? You know, how many of you are incurring some debt to go to college? Some of you, certainly. And so, you know, I think that you have to say, I came to college to get a 2-year degree. I got my 2-year degree. I'm demanding, you know, $45,000 a year in salary. And I could go out and get that job and make $45,000 a year, or I could incur more debt and, you know, maybe incur $40,000 in debt to complete a bachelor's degree, and then go out and get a job, and maybe it would pay more. Maybe it would pay $50,000 a year, but you didn't earn for 2 years, and you're in debt, and so your $50,000 salary, once you pay off or pay for your loans, is going to be less than that. So you guys really think about what your career goals are. But I do want to point out that all of QCC's 4 computer-related programs do have agreements with 4-year universities. Okay, so, you know, we hope that you have the right information to choose the right job. But let's talk a little bit about industry standard certifications and what they mean in education and what they mean in the workplace as well. So I want to say that I love and I promote industry standard certification because these are skill sets that's been defined by industry groups. They have global meaning worldwide. If you have one of them and you decide that you need to move to Japan and you say, I have this certification, people in Japan are going to understand what that certification means. They may not understand what you learned at Quinsigamond Community College, but they're going to recognize that you have a degree, a certificate or a degree, but they're going to know what that industry certification means. So I'm very pro industry certification. It also means, and I see this year after year, that if a student has 1 or more industry certifications, they get jobs quicker. It demands more pay. So not only do they get hired first, but they probably get a little more pay. So how do those relate to our QCC programs? Well, we do this activity at QCC called Academic Program Review. Each of our programs go through a review process every 3 or 4 years, and we go out to industry and we say, you know, what skills are important in this career area, and we're constantly updating our programming at QCC. One of the things that we do in the CSET program is that when we go out and we gather that data, we then try to align our curriculum to industry certification so that we know we're teaching you the right things. So, how do you get these? We know they're valuable in a couple of different ways. Oh, and one way that I want to point out that it's valuable, if you already have them and you're coming to QCC, you would visit Joe Whitney. He's in room 272, and we would probably give you credit for your certification instead of having to take the related class. So for those of you, and I know a couple of you in this room have this situation, where you had like the A+ industry certification. You took your certificate to Joe, and Joe said, based on this, you don't have to take the CSC 233 class. We'll just give you credit for that for a small fee. But how do you get them? Well, you study. They're not easy. You have to know your stuff, and then you sit for an exam. And most of the exams, most of the industry standard exams are offered at these kind of generic testing centers. We have some here in Worcester, and you know, they're all over the world, where you go in and, well, you sign up in advance. You go in, say, you know, I'm taking this specific test. They bring up the test on the computer. You sit there for however long your allocated time is, and you answer questions. At the end, it grades it, and you either pass the exam and get the certification, or you don't. Okay, so View and Prometric are a couple of generic ones. If you are taking some specific ones, there's a few specific ones that they may make you travel to different places in the United States in order to sit for those. Like if you're going to take a Red Hat one, I think there's only 2 testing centers in the United States. The closest one is South Carolina, I think. Uh-oh. What just happened there? Okay, let me see here. Okay. This is the page it seemed to have a hard time painting. Oh, it went right past that. So, you guys, people say, well, what are the best industry certifications out there? Which ones should I go out and get? Well, you guys, there are lots of industry certifications out there, and you know, you can categorize them in a few areas. And let me show you, you could just go out and do some research on your own. And so this one, for example, says, what are the best computer jobs? Oh, this isn't one of them. Best computer jobs for the future. These are, I think the title of this one is the highest paid certifications. This one is the Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate. And you see that that's certainly in the CSET area. You see that the salary range is $52,000 to $115,000. Another one is the MCSE, the Solutions Expert for Private Cloud. You see that it's $52,000 to $102,000. The Project Management Professional, which is $65,000 to $93,000. You know, we have that course in our curriculum for a reason, because it's a very valuable bit of knowledge for you to have. A VMware Certified Professional, a Certified Information System Security Professional, the CISSP. You'll actually see over the next year, if you're in the CSET program, you'll see that we're adding a 2-year security degree, and it includes some CISSP information. This says, what are the best 5 computer certifications for entry level? Your CompTIA A+, your Microsoft, I think this one is a developer's solution. Is that right? Or maybe the desktop specialist. This is a Microsoft Certified Desktop Support Technician. The Network Plus, the CompTIA Network Plus. You guys, Microsoft ones are still very, very valuable. CompTIA Security Plus, you know, that's our CST 205 class. It's kind of an entry-level security class that teaches you really terminology and big picture stuff. And then the CompTIA Server Plus. I actually like this site, and you guys might jot this down. It's called tomsitpro.com, and it's best IT certifications. Well, let me get rid of these pop-ups here. But the first one is big data certifications. Obviously, there's some certifications out there for managing big data. There's some IT trainer certifications, healthcare IT certifications, virtualization certifications, telecom certifications, wireless networking certifications, computer hardware certifications. So if you click on one of these, you will expect to find the most in-demand certifications listed right down here. You see the A+, right? Most demand, in demand. Help desk certifications, project management certifications. If you click on it, you're going to see the PMI and the CompTIA IT Project Plus. Best Linux certifications. Let's click on it because we know that we teach in that program area as well. What do you think you're going to see? The Linux Plus certification, the CompTIA Linux Plus is right up there at the top of the list. You also see these Red Hat certifications. You see some vendor-specific stuff. You know, my recommendation on that is that you move towards the generic certifications and not hang all your hat on a given vendor. Vendors change quicker than what you think. Do you think that Cisco's going to change in your lifetime? And the answer is yes. We're already seeing it change. They used to have the market for routing and switching, and now they have the market for routing, and lots of other people have jumped in for various switching. So I really like the generic certifications. Keep going back. Computer forensics. Obviously, we teach in that program area. IT governance, enterprise architecture certificates, system administrator certificates. Let's look at that one because we teach a lot of that. Uh-oh, what just happened there? Oh, Microsoft is number 1. System administrator and solution expert for Windows Server. Linux is 1, Red Hat is 1, VMware is 1, CompTIA Server is 1. So you guys, there's, you know, go to this site and take a look at what's out there. It is tomsitpro.com. You see security, you see storage. Obviously, all of the courses that we teach in the CSET program are aligned with these certifications. So if you go to the storage certifications, you're going to see EMC storage technology certification out there. There are programming certificates as well. If you guys are doing software development, programming, web certificates, or web design and programming, you know, these are out there too. There is a certificate or a certification for everything in IT. And the more you have, the more valuable you are, because those are what industry's demanding. Okay. So then, how do I get a job? Well, you know, the key is to have the right skills for what you want to do. Something that we try to get you to do here at QCC is enroll in a paid or unpaid co-op. Both of them are valuable. You know, the better students can certainly get paid co-ops. We see that happen every semester. But don't be afraid to get an unpaid one either, especially if there's something specific that you want to do that you can't find a paid one in. Be willing to take an entry-level job to start if you have to. But get your credentials, and that means a certificate or degree here at QCC and maybe some industry standard certification. Then go see Joe, my last bullet there, in room 272A. He's going to help you put together a modern, high-quality resume. Take his advice. Every semester, I see students with resumes that because they're because of the formatting of them, the way they've presented data, may never get a second look. Joe knows how many resumes come into every job opening that's out there these days and how people sort through them. So he will help you try to organize your resume in a way that will draw some attention to it. Joe, do you have anything else to say beyond that? So you guys, take his advice on this. I am sure that what he's telling you is absolutely accurate. Okay, so, oh, and one other thing on the resume. You guys, and I don't know how much Joe helps you with this, you should have a professional looking LinkedIn page as well. Okay, so you got the resume done, it looks good, you've sent it out, and then you have an interview. Someone calls you for an interview. So what do you need to do to prepare for that? Well, to start with, you guys, dress appropriately. What is that? What is appropriate dress for an entry-level computer-related job these days?
Dress shirt and dress pants?
I would say a dress shirt and dress pants. Probably no need for a tie at an entry-level position, but certainly dress pants and a dress, probably a button-down shirt most likely, nice shoes, not a wrinkled shirt. For women, probably maybe even a suit, but not a real structured suit. Certainly skirt or slacks will work. But you guys, there's a lot of research out there that shows that you dress to your potential. And so if you come in shorts, which is fine to come to school in, right? And we all do that. But if you come to a job interview in shorts, they think that you're able to do the maintenance work in the grassy area out there, right? So, you know, dress for success there. Then the second thing that you really want to do is research the company that you're interviewing at. Okay? Know what they do. Know some things about their organizational structure. You know, I was in an interview just recently here at QCC, and one of the other people who were helping with the interview said, you know, when I came here and did my interview at QCC, I had thoroughly gone through all of the web pages and knew who was responsible for what and knew some of the projects that were going on. And during my interview, when they asked me if I had any questions or comments, I said, wow, I really liked your project that you did with this. And she got the job. And so, you know, her question is, you know, knowing a lot about the company that you're interviewing with is, you know, how much that applies to whether or not you get a job. You guys do it. Do it for sure. Then the third thing, research the industry that company is part of and know the common enabling technology for that company or for that industry so that you can anticipate what type of questions you'll get in the interview. You know, every time that students tell me that they go on interviews, I always say, what questions did you get in your interview? So that, you know, we can make sure that QCC is teaching what we need to teach our students to be able to get the job and then keep the job. So, you know, expect a technical interview. Expect the soft skills part of the interview that includes things like, you know, what are your career ambitions and, you know, where do you want to be in 5 years? But also expect the very technical part of the interview that asks you to do subnetting in front of them so they know that you know how to do it. And then you get the job. What do you expect from the employer? Well, I think you should expect some good pay and benefits. Also expect the work environment is going to be pretty demanding. You're going to have some project-based work. Some of it's going to be very proactive work. Some of it's going to be very reactive work. When IT breaks down and is down, how do you fix it in a quick amount of time? It's going to be fast-paced. You're going to have to expect probably, most likely, to be on call sometimes in the evenings or weekends. Sometimes, probably not all the time. How many of you does that bother? Are you guys okay with being on call? I want to point out that the IT career field is harder, has a lot more knowledge that you have to learn and technical knowledge, more than the average career here at QCC. But it also pays twice as much as the average career. So you have to expect this, don't you? So you guys, don't be scared of it. You'll be competent. It will be fine. Now that you have the job, what do? Well, when you go to work every day, be reliable, conduct yourself professionally. And when I say professionally, try to keep work and home as separate as possible. Try to be ethical and don't use foul language at work. You guys, that matters. It doesn't matter so much at home, right? But it matters in a business environment. I would probably move someone out of a position if they use the F word in front of customers more than once. I might do it after one time, right? So that goes back to seeing what your potential is. If your employer sees you swearing, they have that view of kind of you're able to drive a truck, but you're not able to present in front of a lot of customers, for example. So be aware of that. Then the last thing, keep up with your technical knowledge as the industry changes, okay? Things in IT change quickly. Keep up with it. There's lots of online sources to, keep your knowledge up to date. Lots of free online sources. Maybe in some cases you'll want to go back and finish your or take more education. Maybe in some cases your employer will want to send you to some very specific training. But make the effort to keep up. Things change a lot, very quickly. Okay, so, you guys, I hope that for those of you who are already in the CSET program, you understand some things about the CSET program better than what you previously understood them. I hope for those of you who didn't know whether you were interested in a computer-related technology degree that you now know. You guys visit www.qcc.edu if you're looking for careers, especially computer-related careers. What you're going to want to do is look at that catalog that I showed you. You're going to want to look at those 4 computer-related programs that we talked about. Look at the student learning outcomes of each. Look at the course descriptions that are part of that degree program. Review the prerequisites. Contact maybe the program coordinator for a site visit. Decide on a program. Contact admissions to apply. And then contact advising to actually enroll. So, what questions do you have?